Hello! Jon Jones has said Stipe Miocic is a dangerous matchup stylistically, and to my knowledge, I agree. Stylistically means not just because he's bigger and he's a very talented fighter, but because his method of fighting is strong versus Jon's method of fighting. An example of this would be Conor excelling versus Eddie Alvarez. Precise and well-timed counter punches, punishing a unidimensional swap between wrestling pressure and an overhand right. Boxing fundamentals, which develop a keen sense of rhythm and timing, excel at punishing repeat patterns of behavior. Another bad stylistic matchup would be Demian Maia vs Tyron Woodley. Tyron's low center of gravity, stocky, strong muscular build, high-level wrestling, and just patient, cautious nature overall. It makes it very difficult to put him into a position where he could be submitted. As uninteresting as you may find Tyron's style to be, I believe he is Demian Maia's worst stylistic matchup in the division. Because if you can't find a way to bring the physically gifted wrestler to the ground, you probably aren't submitting him. Now that we have a general feel for style established, what is Jon's style? I like to think of Jon as an assassin. What does an assassin do? Assassins are not brawlers. They are planners, strategists. They figure out a plan to defeat you before the fight even begins. By figuring out your patterns of behavior, your habits, your weaknesses, finding ways to exploit them, and then when it comes to engaging their prey, they keep their distance and patiently observe for those windows, those patterns of behavior, habits, weaknesses, looking for the opportunity to use what they've trained to deal with them. So innately, an assassin's style is one that requires observation and distance. But why do they need distance? Time. Thinking to observe and figure out your opponent even mid-fight requires time. And by maintaining distance, he is given the time to outsmart you each exchange he engages in. One of the ways he maintains distance is simply by backing up. And this is incredibly effective, not only because he leaves the distance you need to reach him, but because he is very tall and has an insane wingspan or reach, making it much harder to get past that line of defense once you're on the end of it. But there is a weakness to always backing up: the cage. Eventually, you'll be pressured up against the fence. What has Jon done in this situation to address this? His solution can be seen versus high-pressure infighters or brawlers, like Daniel Cormier or Rampage Jackson. When Jon is pushed up against the cage, he runs off to a side and back to the center, where he again has more space to continue maintaining distance. Now, why would this style be problematic versus Stipe? First and foremost, Stipe has the best boxing fundamentals in the division. All of his strikes are clean, precise, and high pressure, meaning Jon will be backing up for more of the fight. He will have to work harder to maintain distance as Stipe walks him down, which means he will more quickly, thus more often, be up against the cage or fence. But that is only part of the equation. The problem for Jon truly lies in Stipe's ring generalship, his ability to control his opponent once they are up against the cage. And one of the techniques he uses, which I don't believe anyone else has demonstrated at Stipe's level, is cutting off the ring. When Jon is backed up against the cage, he will not be able to run away from Stipe the same way he has from his other opponents, because Stipe will not follow Jon. He will cut off Jon's attempts to run back to the center of the cage, and force him to stay up against it. Thus, Stipe, with his high-level ring generalship, would hurt one of Jon's most important tools to his high-level cerebral game: distance, thus time. He will not give Jon the distance, thus the time to consistently outsmart him. I am very certain that this is why Jon and his coaches believe Stipe is a bad stylistic matchup. Now, this leads to another question. Would Jon Jones lose to Stipe Miocic? Having a bad stylistic matchup doesn't mean you can't win the fight. There are many factors that come into place, and overall, completely ruling out victory for Jon is never a good idea. His fight IQ paired with evolving adaptive nature, which now magically holds a new capacity for one-shot KO power over his opponents. Daniel Cormier. No one else has been able to do this to him. Yet Jon, who has self-admitted in the past to not being a knockout artist, has evolved his technique to the point where he is consistently doing this in camp as well. You can't rule a man like this out ever. He's always evolving too much. He's way too adaptive. I would still favor Stipe, being the bigger talent. But to completely rule out Jon, in my opinion, I think to a degree, that is ignorance. What do you guys think? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you did. It's good karma. And until next time, peace.